Everyone knows the adage, you are what you eat. So if you eat an ice cream sundae, does that make you an ice cream sundae? Kind of, because the sundae will have an influence on your mood and on your physiology, at least for the moment. But if you eat that sundae in the context of a diet of healthy whole foods, then mostly you are those healthy whole foods, because you're not just what you eat, you are what you repeatedly eat. So if you have an ice cream sundae every day, or more than once a day, then you are definitely an ice cream sundae. What you eat becomes the substance of your body. In the same way, the ways that you behave every day, the ways you interact with people, the ways that you see the world and think about it habitually, those become the substance of your personality, of your lifestyle, of the community that you create, and of the impact that you have on the world around you. Because you are what you repeat. So ask yourself, what are the things that you repeat? What are the things that you do day after day, every day? And do those help you become the kind of person you most want to be? Because they are forming the substance of who you are. There are two general kinds of things that we do over and over again. There are, on the one hand, unconscious habits, and on the other hand, conscious practices. Unconscious habits are ways of being that we've just picked up. They're usually not deliberate, or they are, but they're obsolete. Mostly they're kind of automatic pilot ways of behaving that we don't think much about or even register that we're doing. We think they're the only way to be. Conscious practices are usually deliberate. At some point you make a decision that there's a way of behaving that you recognize will benefit you and make your life better, and so you take it on consciously. And the goal is to transmute the former into the latter. Your life becomes richer and more deliberate the more that you can make unconscious habits into conscious practices. I live in San Francisco, and so I often have the experience of walking down busy city streets. Once upon a time, I made this decision that I would have a practice, a conscious practice, of being unusually friendly. And that meant saying hello to people, making eye contact, smiling at people. And in part because I could already tell that I liked people, but in part because as I did it, I found I liked people more and more. Now, it's easy to do the opposite, especially in the city. There are so many people, you can want to protect yourself from the influence of all of them. And so people walk looking down at the ground. They avoid eye contact. They don't act friendly toward one another. And that creates a certain kind of experience. It cultivates in oneself a kind of isolation, or potentially a kind of protection or carefulness. Whereas being unusually friendly cultivates not just friendliness, but a sense of community and inclusion, a feeling like we're all in this together, we're all part of this thing together, and we can enjoy each other even in these small moments that we have with each other. Both practices, the unconscious one and the conscious one, cultivate certain qualities in a person. And that's how practices work. All practices cultivate certain qualities. Spiritual practices like meditation or yoga or tai chi have been developed over centuries because they manage to cultivate a number of desirable qualities simultaneously. If you engage in them every day, you can develop your ability to witness, or to not be identified with thoughts and feelings, or to breathe in a more conscious way that gives you more energy, or to have greater balance or body awareness. Right? These are qualities that are deliberately cultivated from these kinds of spiritual practices, which is why they're popular and desirable. But you can cultivate tailor-made practices, practices that are just for you, that are based on the kinds of qualities you want to cultivate for yourself. For instance, do you want to be more spontaneous or more tenacious, to have the ability to stand up for yourself in the face of adversity, or stay calm in a crisis, or have more peacefulness or compassion? There are so many different kinds of qualities that you might want to cultivate, and for each of them you can come up with practices that will help you become more that way. For instance, you might want to park your car differently than you normally do, so that you celebrate when somebody who's driving in front of you finds a parking spot, because we're all in this together and we all need parking. And then once you arrive in your car, you stop and breathe for a couple of breaths to slow yourself down before doing the next thing. Maybe before you go to bed at night, you want to take time to notice 3 good things that happened in the day, and then think about why they happened. That'll change your outlook on your day. Maybe you don't want to go to bed with dishes in the sink. Maybe you want to make sure that instead of making demands on people, you make requests of them. Or come up with a different way of answering, "How are you?" instead of saying "fine." Answer in a way that's genuine and vulnerable. These are all practices rather, that cultivate qualities that you might want for yourself. So you can tailor make practices for yourself. There's one very important thing to remember about conscious practices, and that is you will forget to do them. When they're new, it's inevitable. There's a cycle of practice, and it goes like this. You practice, and then you forget to practice. And then you forget that you forgot to practice. And then finally, eventually, you remember that you forgot to practice, and then you practice. That's always how it goes. Don't be down on yourself for slipping back into old ways of being, old unconscious habits. It's okay. Just come back again and again to how it is that you'd like to be behaving, because you are what you repeat. And over time, you will grow and develop in ways that are in concordance with the practices that you decide to create for yourself and that you continue to do. So, make your life deliberate, make it conscious. Repeat the things you want to repeat.